Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Page 69. Today I'm going to start with the debates about whether sociology should be based on the method and the procedures of the natural sciences and the role of values in the sociological research. First I need to explain the topic. In my previous lectures, I keep on saying there are two different approaches, are the procedures we use to apply to investigate the social issues like positivism and interpretivism. There was a debate in my previous lecture either we need to take sociology as a natural science, we should study sociology like natural sciences or not. So it is the extension of the same lecture. It is basically the debate. So before I go into detail, first of all, we need to define what is natural science and what is the procedure which is involved in investigating the natural sciences. Defining science. Science is a way of producing a particular kind of knowledge, one that is factual and objective, rather than based on opinion, guesses, or faith. Science involves identifying a problem to study, collecting information about it, and offering an explanation for it. Science, therefore, is a methodological a way of producing knowledge that has two main qualities. It is reliable. This refers to the idea that it is possible to check the accuracy of a piece of research by replicating it to see whether the same or very similar results are obtained. Reliable. It is valid. Data are only useful if they actually measure or describe what it claims to measure or describe. It is possible to measure the extent of crime using government crime statistics. However, the validity of these statistics may be limited if they only record crimes that are reported to the police, because many crimes go unreported. So first of all, what is science? Science is basically a kind of information knowledge we get through a specific procedure. uh, Obviously, when we talk about the scientific knowledge, we talk about the natural sciences. It's all about more importance is given to the objectivity. A specific procedure is taken just to investigate the issues which are relating to natural sciences. Observation, experimentation. Then when we conduct experimentation, there must be a very the approach which is taken to investigate or to conduct experiment is, you can say, is you need to restrict certain things. You are not supposed to put your interest or put your feedback which can affect the result in natural sciences. So basically the natural sciences is all about the collecting information or data with a very specific way, in which your main aim is the objectivity, what is the issue. And the very best thing about the scientific knowledge, we got two different qualities. It is reliable. What is reliable means, for instance, see that if we talk about acceleration, for instance, or gravitational acceleration, last time I told you it was 9.8 meter per second square. So all the time, every person anywhere around the globe can uh, can investigate what is the value of gravitational acceleration. It will remain the same. So if the value is remains the same regardless of the demographical factors or the condition, so this is considered to be reliable. So our data is considered to be reliable if uh, the procedure will remain the same and the result will remain the same. So if the result is same and procedure we are following is the same, then the information, the outcome is reliable. Secondly, it's valid. What is the validity? Validity means, you get some information and how long it is practical in use. This is supposed to be valid. One thing. Second thing which is attached to the validness of anything is that, for instance, you follow a specific procedure, you collect the information and you keep on updating the information, then it's considered to be valid. You know why? Because, for instance, the data government have in 2022, if we keep on using the same data, it is possible to say that it is no more valid, because right now we are living into 2023. So the validity and the reliability is a kind of thing which are attached to the scientific knowledge. So what is the procedure we observe or we conduct while conducting experiment? Scientific knowledge is created by following a set of procedure agreed by the scientific community that control how data can be collected and analyzed. The hypothetic deduction method is a standard example of a scientific procedure. A scientific procedure generally begins with a hypothesis or research question. This question must be tested or answered by the systematic election, presentation, and analyzing the data. A crucial idea here is that any conclusion drawn from scientific research have not been, if disproven, are shown to be false in the course of testing them against the available evidence. So, first of all, we need to understand what is the procedural. The science, science have a specific procedure. I keep on saying that what is the procedural rules. See that first of all, the very important thing is the observation. For instance, I observe something. After my observation, I will make hypothesis, and it is possible after my observation I will have two or three hypotheses. Hypotheses are the statements on which we keep on testing. We conduct experimentation. Through experimentation we got some you can say it's a process which is called deduction. For instance, if I have a sort of observation, I observe something, and after my observation I come to know that there are certain things which can be possible through my observation. So for instance, from my observation I got three hypotheses. So it is not possible that all those hypotheses are correct or not. So I conduct experiment, and I keep on experimenting two or three times. After conducting different experiments on the same level, I will come to know that if it is possible that, for instance, I got three hypotheses, two of them are false by experimentation. So the process through which I deduce my hypothesis. For instance, in initial state I got three hypotheses, keep on experimenting, and after experimentation I deduce my hypothesis. So after deduction I got one hypothesis which seems to be correct. So I after the deduction I come to know that okay, this is supposed to be the correct one. Then I again conduct experimentation through different arguments to different parameters. So after conducting experimentation, then I come to know that, so after specific experimentation, no, my conclusion remained the same which I was when I was making three hypotheses. So one can say that then it is considered to be a theory. One can say that now it's a theory. We can say that like and we keep on practicing the theories. Then we got the laws. For instance, one can say that the law of Newton, the law of gravitation, all the laws we have, so it is a result of continuous experimentation, observation, deduction. So all the procedure which is used in scientific knowledge, it is considered to be a generalized, or you can say universal procedure which most of the scientists use to investigate the issues which are relating to the natural sciences. So this is we have in experimentation are the procedural role. Then there are certain things which are the part of scientific knowledge as well, and one of them is ethical rules to ensure that scientists follow the procedures outlined above rather than making up their results. Merton argued that scientific echoes is required. What is scientific echoes? Is basically the ethical rules. There must be rules governing the general condition that research must satisfy in order to both attain and maintain scientific status. Science has to be universal. Knowledge is evaluated using objective, universally agreed criteria. Personal values play no part in this process, and criticism of a scientific work should focus on trying to prove that their conclusions are wrong or identifying weaknesses in the research process. So, what is ethical rules? Ethical rules is all about you are not supposed to put yourself into an issue just to prove that you have conducted all this. Your one can say that subjectivity is not the issue in scientific knowledge. It is not important who created, who invented things. It is important the procedure which is observed is more important. Obviously there is a reason why, obviously we know come to know that we need to be thankful to Newton that they have certain things Newton investigate, and today's science is very much thankful to Newton. But important thing is the knowledge, because Newton is no more but his knowledge remains the same. So universal approach is that, whatever you are investigating, what are the ethical issues which are related. The very first thing about the ethical issue is you're not supposed to put yourself, your fame is not required anymore. You're not supposed to be, our investigation should be objective rather than subjective. Secondly, communal scientific knowledge is public knowledge that must be freely shared within the scientific community. Scientists must, for example, be able to build on the work done by other scientists. This inspires scientists to develop new ideas based on those of other scientists. So second is communal. One can say that I mean, you are supposed not to suppose restrict your knowledge, your information to a specific community or a specific country or a specific region. Knowledge has no boundaries like the sea or the ocean. So I mean, you are supposed to share the knowledge. So it is far more better if you simply share your knowledge, just share your outcome, so one can say that the other world can benefit through your knowledge. So the things, first of all, it should be universal. Second, it communal. You're not supposed to restrict the things to a specific community. Thirdly, disinterested. The main responsibility of the scientist is to seek knowledge. While scientists should be recognized for their achievement and rewarded for their effort, they should not have a personal interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of their research. If the researcher was not disinterested, there would be a risk of researcher bias, calling the validity of the research into question. It's so easy. I mean, you need to take part in all the experimentation, you research, and you are not supposed to run after money or fame. If you people, I mean, the scientists are more interested in fame and money, so they can simply put certain things in their investigation which should be avoided. Skeptical. Nothing is beyond criticism. The scientific community must continually evaluate knowledge because this costing process contributes to the development of human understanding. For Merton, this skeptical attitude represents by main way in which scientific knowledge differed from other form of knowledge, such as religious faith. See that it's very important to be criticizing the things we have. But I mean, for instance, it's the evaluation and evolution which simply give us the best knowledge, our best information. I mean, we need to be skeptical. You know why skeptical? It is important to be skeptical. You keep on criticizing because it is the criticism which can simply bring up the best things out of the raw material. And the very different thing, the difference between the other sciences or the religious knowledge to the natural sciences is that, I mean, you can't criticize. It is not an open discussion to criticize the dogmas or the doctrines or the faith which are relating to any religion. So it is, or religion is most of the time is the conflict. It's a bone of contention between the countries, between the people of different communities. So I mean, it is always welcome. Criticism should be welcome all the time when we talk about the scientific knowledge. But the person who is criticizing must have that appropriate knowledge to criticize to certain issues. So we got two things here. The earliest sociology was positivist. I mean, that is, it was based on the assumption that the social world could be explored in the same way as the natural world. So we got two things together. As I mentioned earlier, the earliest sociologists, I mean, normally they were positivist because they keep on investigating the sociology on the grounds of experimentation, hypothesis, and they simply try to follow the whole procedure rules which is mentioned uh, earlier. Secondly, the later sociologists, for following the positivist approach, move away to some extent from this position. It was recognized that because people think, reflect, and make decisions about how to act, so positivists tried to be as objective as possible and to follow scientific methods as far as possible, while recognizing, for example, the complete objectivity was not achievable. For example, the choice of what to study would be based on the researcher's ideas about what was worthwhile studying. Interpretivism is a different tradition within sociology based on different assumptions. Interpretivists argue that scientific methods are not appropriate for sociology. The purpose of sociology is to try to understand why people behave as they do. This is not a question of discovering laws of human behavior, but rather of trying to see the world through their eyes. So basically, we got two things together. Positivist is all about the scientific approach, all about the following a specific procedure rules. On the other hand, we got interpretivist. Interpretivists are more concerned about people's behavior. As I mentioned earlier, see that when I talk about the gravitational acceleration, it has a fixed value around the globe. You can't change it. But if we talk, this is what the sciences are, the natural science is all about. When we talk about the interpretivists, they are simply more concerned about the individual's interaction, action, reaction. I mean, their will. I mean, they can change, they can have a different opinion. So I mean, it is one. We need to say that in positivist theory, one can say that the knowledge is fixed. You can't change it. It's very restricted. It's limited. But interpretivist, it is not achievable. One can say that, must say that, see that there are billions of people. So I mean, it is not possible to collect 10,000 different type of data. We can, it is obviously it is not achievable, it's very difficult, it's very time consuming. But I mean, you can have a sheer or the chunk idea about the objectivity or the people's behavior in a in different circumstances. For instance, you can simply have a parameter like educated people or literate people used to act in this kind of situation like that way. So you have a sort of journal implementation of certain situation or the scenarios, how people behave in that way. Again, you can have some parameters or the arguments like classes, like rich class or the upper class act like that way. So just to investigate certain issues, you have a specific type or the stereotypes, you can say that. So one of them is like education, gender, then upper class, different classes, your religion. To some extent one can say that the are the arguments which are there to influence the investigation of the social issues are studying sociologists. I mean, this is I have for today, and inshallah ta'ala, I will have the last lecture, then I will complete my paper one, which consists of two chapters, chapter one and chapter two, the method of research. And then inshallah ta'ala, we will start to practice in a different way. Take great care of yourself, and till then, fi aman Allah.